Access to Democracy is made possible thanks to the following organizations. Sheridan & Dulas, PA, a family and criminal defense law firm that has been serving clients in Dakota County and throughout Minnesota for over 40 years. Ranked a Tier 1 Best Law Firm by U.S. News and World Report every year since 2009. Sheridan & Dulas are here to help you in your most difficult life circumstances. Established in 2007, 45th Parallel Distillery was among the first 50 microdistilleries in the United States. Based in New Richmond, Wisconsin, all aspects of production occur at their facility. If you're interested in learning more about the 45th Parallel Distillery, please check their website and plan a visit to tour their facility and taste their spirits. Truestone Financial, with locations in Minnesota and Wisconsin, has proudly served its members since 1939. Truestone engages, educates, and supports its members to ensure they have the tools to empower their financial well-being. Truestone Financial, your neighborhood credit union. Learn more at truestone.org.
Hello and welcome to Access to Democracy. Thank you for joining the program. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. I'm your host, Bill Raker. And today our guests on the program are from the Dakota County Historical Society, and we're going to talk with them about what's new at the Historical Society. And more specifically, we're going to talk about what the Society has planned for helping Dakota County, our state, and our nation celebrate our 250th anniversary here in 2026. Returning to the program is Matt Carter. Matt's been on the program 3, maybe 4 times before, so he's returning and he's going to tell us a little bit about his role at the Historical Society. And joining us is a member of the Board of Trustees for the Dakota County Historical Society, Frank Sachs.
Yes. It's
Matt,
good to be here
Frank,
with you.
welcome to Access to Democracy. I'm looking forward to what you're going to be sharing with our viewers today. So, Matt, let's start with you. As I said, you've been on the program before. Maybe some of our viewers will recall. But tell our viewers a little bit about what your role is at the Dakota County Historical Society and how long you've been there, and maybe a little bit about your background. And then Frank will come over and learn some things about you.
Yeah, so I've been with the Dakota County Historical Society now 10 years, just crossed that threshold. And I've been director here for that entire time and just kind of help with the day-to-day of operating 3 different historic sites throughout Dakota County.
Well, it's an exciting time to be working in the Historical Society, I would imagine, isn't it, Matt?
It is.
Yeah. Frank, being a guest for the first time, tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to the Board of Trustees for the Historical Society.
Well, history's been my life, more or less. At least 46 years of it were in the classroom. Close to 40 of those were at the Blake School in Minneapolis, where I taught a variety of subjects from AP U.S. government and politics to U.S. constitutional law to American movements. So history has been a real focus of mine. When I retired, or as I like to call it, rewired, my rewirement, I got solicited to start making presentations all around the Twin Cities about the things that I used to teach. And that brought me to Dakota County Historical Society. They invited me in as a speaker. I spoke a couple of times and then they said, would you think about joining the board? And I said, well, yes, I would. I'm very interested in history and it's been a great thing to be part of.
Well, you certainly have had an exciting and interesting career, it sounds like, as an educator primarily,
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
How long have you been on the Board of Trustees?
Just a year.
Oh, so you're kind of one of the newbies.
I am one of the newbies, but we just approved 3 more, so I'm no longer going to be the rookie.
Well, you've just been promoted in longevity on the board,
Right.
It sounds like. So, Frank, being a member of the Board of Trustees,
Right.
what does the board do? What's your responsibility? What's your role?
Well, we have to make sure that everything's working well. Matt's really in charge. Our job is to support him in the decisions that he makes, whether it's spending, programmatic, but also all the activities. We have 3 or 4 sites which routinely have programs that need support. And as a board member, we have to try to give our time to help support those programs.
And that's as a volunteer.
Absolutely as a volunteer.
So you mentioned that the Historical Society has more than one site. That's a part of what you oversee. Matt, tell us a little bit about what each of those sites are and why someone might be interested in visiting them.
Our main museum is our Lawshe Museum. So our organization was founded in 1939 by Fred Lawshe. And so our Lawshe Memorial Museum is named in recognition of all the work he did in South St. Paul and trying to form the organization and then secure different museums. We used to be in the basement of the high school, the city hall, and then eventually Dakota County built a museum in 1976 as part of the bicentennial, decided they wanted to find a resource for the community and celebrating that history. And so our main museum in South St. Paul is where we have our headquarters for the organization. If anyone's interested in doing research, they can come in. We have a research library and archive, microfilm. You can go in and look through newspapers, naturalization records, archdiocese records, and just a whole bunch of different documents related to Dakota County and community history as well. And so our main museum is where you can come in, do that research. We have a number of different exhibits that are currently on display that will be changing out as part of this America 250. And if you're looking for something year-round, that's a great location because it's indoors. But then we also operate the Leduc Estate in Hastings, and that is a seasonal site. So that one is open mid-May through mid-October, and it's a 1866 Gothic Revival mansion that was built by William and Mary Leduc. And so Hastings has this great gem of a house that people can go tour, learn about Minnesota's early history and the Civil War because William was quartermaster for the Union Army. And then our third site is the Sibley Historic Site in Mendota, and that is 3 different houses. So it's the Hippolyte Dupuy House, which is where the main check-in and stuff is at the top of the hill in Mendota. And then as you go down to the bottom of the hill, we do guided tours there Memorial Day through Labor Day. And you have the house of Henry Sibley, Minnesota's first governor, and was built to be the headquarters of the American Fur Company. And then also the John Baptiste Faribault House. And so that site looks a lot at the early Minnesota history, but also looks at the fur trade and the impact that it had right across the river from Fort Snelling.
So there you have it, viewers. Lots of different places to visit here in Dakota County to learn more about the history of our great community. And scrolling across the bottom of our screen as we go through the interview, you'll see some contact information for the Historical Society. So be sure to copy down the phone numbers and websites if you're interested in that. Frank, you mentioned that you taught history, American history.
That was my focus.
Was there a favorite period of American history that you really liked to talk to your students about?
Yes. My area of concentration has largely been colonial and early republic days. So American foundations would be what I would refer to it as. Our founding colonies, which brought us different societies, 13 distinctly different organizational colonies coming together. It's quite difficult to bring 13 different people together, much less 13 different political and populations together. And then how that actually came together. What was this Declaration of Independence? Why didn't the Articles of Confederation, which nobody tends to even think about, succeed? That was our first government. And then the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and on from there.
And so now our country is, within a few months, going to be celebrating the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States of America. As the Historical Society has thought about and planned for this grand occasion, we only get to celebrate it once, right? What's the Historical Society planning on doing? Can you share with our viewers some of the things that you have in the works that they can look forward to as we progress through 2026?
Yeah, we have a number of different opportunities. So one of them, and I'll let Frank talk about that in a little bit here, is a presentation series on civics education. So learning basically what he just described in a 14-part presentation series. We are also working on a genealogy workshop series that starts broad, so people that are interested in trying to figure out genealogy. Our first program in January here is looking at Genealogy 101. And next month we'll be doing a follow-up to that of, okay, you had the introduction, now you start doing the research. How do you organize it? What's the best way to organize your files? Some tips so that you don't get lost, because it's easy to do when you're researching family history. And our goal is, as we do these per month, getting to a point where we have a workshop series. So you've attended 3 or 4 classes, learned about it, went home, tried it, you may have gotten stuck somewhere. So we'll have volunteers that are, quote unquote, experts in genealogy research that'll be able to come in, and you can sit down with them and they'll help you through some of those problems you have. And so as we do those, our goal to help with genealogy obviously is the main part, but then as we get closer to July, looking at how you can research your Revolutionary ancestors. And so we're partnering with the Minnesota Genealogical Society and a couple of chapters of the Daughters of the American Revolution to kind of help pull that all together. And we're also looking at doing a large-scale event on July 3rd to the 5th at Mall of America, where we will have a kind of a formal presentation of sorts where we can kind of kick off and celebrate this July 4th date, but then also have exhibits and reenactors and programming. We're also looking at doing a fashion show as part of this, and really looking at what made Minnesota over the last 250 years the Minnesota we have today.
Well, Matt, as you were describing this, there were questions coming to my mind. I hope I can remember to ask them. First, this genealogy project that you have underway, is this something that anyone from the public can come in and do some research on and say, I'd like to find out if any members of my ancestry were here in the Dakota County area during the Revolutionary period of our country? Can they do that?
Yeah, so just in general, our museum is open in South St. Paul, free to the public. So you don't need to make a reservation or anything to come in. You can stop by when your schedule allows during our normal operating hours and talk with our staff, and they can help you with that. And as far as the genealogy side specific to our programs, all of the programs are going to be free to the public. And so as you stop by, we have an ability to register online just to give us an idea of numbers, but no requirement. You can stop in, just walk into the programs and kind of learn from what is being taught, whether it's Genealogy 101, how to organize your files, and talk to different people that are there, get some tips from that, and then have that ability during these workshops to come in and really deep dive with someone that is they know how to do this research. So whether you're an expert that just got stuck on one thing or you're just starting, they'll be able to help kind of walk you through some of that.
Well, that's an enticing invitation to come in and experience the museum and learn about history here, right? And you don't have to be a member of the society to have access to
this
program?
That's correct. Yep. You don't have to be a member. We always encourage you to join, but you can stop by whether you're a member or not, and you'll get the same treatment either way.
Fair enough. Now, this project that you have underway, to have this, what it sounds like a grand event at the Mall of America, right? How do you go about putting this on? I mean, you mentioned several different activities and things that will happen there. Do you need volunteers and people to help you do that?
Yeah, volunteers are going to be a key thing with this event. We're working on having multiple locations throughout the mall. So Our main location, we're planning to be in the atrium, which is kind of off the north entrance by the IKEA. You come in there, that's going to be our main location. So having volunteers in that space, some of our staff, and then as you walk through the mall, we'll have a couple of other locations, and we're partnering again with a lot of outside organizations. We have a really small staff. We have great volunteers, but we only have so many. And so this is a 3-day event that we will be there open to close. And we'll have registration information for anyone that's interested in wanting to volunteer as part of this, and really just being there to help talk with people as they come in. And we're working with a lot of different chapters with the Daughters of the American Revolution again, the Sons of the American Revolution, the Children of the American Revolution. We're working with members of the indigenous communities in both Ojibwe and Dakota, and a whole bunch of other groups that are, reenacting groups, things like that, because we really want to make it a fun event that, obviously a lot of people go to the mall, they don't think I'm going to go try and learn a bunch of history, but have it so when they're walking around, they can see this stuff and say, oh, that's something I want to take a look at, and hopefully, see a reenactor, talk to some volunteers, and learn at the same time.
You have something to add, Frank?
I do. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to educate people about what a remarkable experience the American experience is. No country in the world took on the form of government that we created beginning in 1776. The only government most people were familiar with at that point in time was monarchy. Kings, queens, emperors, empresses, shoguns, czars, and it was a strong man or a strong woman top-down society. America gave the world something different. Our revolution wasn't about disparity of wealth. It was about Enlightenment ideas to share equality and liberty and freedom to all members of society equally, not just from the top down. The aristocracy in Great Britain at that time was less than 1%. Yet, at the time of our revolution, over 85 to 90% of the citizens were literate. That compares with 40% in Great Britain. There's a reason why we were able to achieve this.
It's remarkable.
It is remarkable.
And it's worth celebrating. We'll come back to hear more from you in a minute, Frank, but I want to come back to Matt and ask if any of our viewers are interested in volunteering and being a part of what the Society is putting together for this celebration. Are you open to that?
We are. Our website is dakotahistory.org. You can go there. You can see all the different events we have, whether it's related to the 250th or just our sites in general. And if they are interested in reaching out, wanting to volunteer, they can contact us at the Lawshe Museum. We have our general email, which is dakotahistory@co.dakota.mn.us. Or they can give us a call at any of our sites, and we can kind of coordinate and direct where they need to go from there.
Well, let's hope there's some interest among our viewers to become involved. Do you have the date set for when this event is going to be at the mall?
Yeah, it will be July 3rd to the 5th, so that'll be the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we're fortunate this year, July 4th just happens to fall on a Saturday, so we'll be open to close, so roughly 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day that the mall is open, and we'll be in all those different locations having the different activities and exhibits and different opportunities to explore our history.
Sounds like fun. So, Frank, let's come back to you. I understand that you have a special project going on that's related to the celebration. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, and Matt and I talked about this early on. What we're doing is a series of 14 presentations which outline how the American foundations took place. And each presentation, and we've already had 5 of them, tells a little bit more about that story. We start with the Declaration, we move to the Constitution, but we don't move through it quickly. We take a look at Article 1, Article 2, and if you want to join us next Thursday night, we're going to look at Article 3 of the Constitution, which has to do with our judiciary. And then we're going to look at the rest of what was put together, whether it was the Bill of Rights, or how we got our voting rights, or how our Supreme Court evolved into the court that it is today, or our representation. All these were not decided on day one. They evolved over time, and evolved in a way that empowered our society differently than most other countries in the world.
Sounds like a civics course.
It is kind of a civics course, and
Which
I'm
I
going
don't
to
think
make
we
it.
teach much anymore.
Well, we do now because it's been passed by law in Minnesota. But you're right. I try to make civics interesting and fun.
And the programs are fun. When you sit through those, you definitely learn something.
So you said you've already had 5 of the 14 that are in this series, and there's been good attendance and participation?
Between 35 and 40 each night.
And where were these conducted?
At the Lawshe Museum.
Okay.
We have a room that we can set up for presentations, and we've had a very active group, and we've gained more participants each week, but there's still room for more if they want to come.
Well, hopefully our viewers are going to be interested once they see and hear what you've been talking about with us today. So if someone wants to come to one of these future series programs, do they have to register, or can they just come?
Yeah, so in an ideal world, they register ahead of time. That way we can make sure that we can accommodate everyone. But as Frank said, we've been growing each time, and there's still plenty of room. If someone does come and just walk into the events, they can still register, pay. There is an admission for these at the front desk, and then they can go up and enjoy it. And we do have the opportunity, like we said, there's 14 of them. And so we have different bulk rate packages. So if you want one, that's great. You don't have to take them in a series to understand all of it. There's some benefit to it, but you could do a one-off here and there as well. And if you do register for multiples, we do have some price breaks and points that make it a little more affordable that way too.
And they've been videoed, and they're being showed around the state. You can say a little bit more about that,
Yeah,
too.
I was going to ask if they're being recorded and going into the archives.
They are. So Town Square Television in northern part of Dakota County is recording them. So you can go to their websites and you can find those. And they are archived, so you can go back and watch number 1 or number 3. But they're also being shared to other networks around the state. And there's probably 20 to 25 different communities that are all showing these on local access stations.
So the community cable channel is where
Correct.
people can watch this. And if you go to the website, is there a list of what those channels and communities are that they have access to these?
As of right now, I don't believe so, but that is something that we will go back and try and figure out which communities they are, and then we can link to those on our website so that if, like you said, if someone's looking for it in a specific area, they can try and figure out which is the closest that they can try and watch that, or go to the website and watch it, kind of stream it that way.
So Frank, tell us some more about some of the future topics that you're going to be covering.
Okay. So
What's the syllabus for your course?
right. Well, what we're doing this coming week is Article 3, the judiciary. After we're done with the judiciary, we're going to look at the ratification process and the Federalist Papers, because the Constitution just didn't get written, get signed, and passed. It had to go through a procedure where it was debated. And we'll talk about what that debate was like, and then what had to be done to make it more acceptable to people. And that's where we get the Bill of Rights, because that wasn't part of the Constitution. And people need to understand the Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments, and they become part of the Constitution. And then after the Bill of Rights, we're going to take a look at our Supreme Court and how it evolved, because it's 240 years old, and it has evolved, and what it does is it interprets how our laws are to be applied to us. And we are remarkable in terms of our country because we were founded on the rule of law, not the rule of an individual. And then we'll look about how our political system evolved over time. Our voting rights, our representation rights, and our electoral rights. Why do we have the system we have to elect our president? And why do the states get to run elections, not the federal government? We have 50 elections on an election day. We don't have one.
So, if citizens knew more about what you're talking about how our country, our government came into existence, then from your experience, do you feel that there would be a stronger union and a greater appreciation for what we have and a more interest in preserving it and enhancing it?
And participating in it. Absolutely.
A great word for a democracy or a republic, participation.
Participation. If you know more about how your country is organized and how it's expected to function, you have been empowered as an individual to take part in that process if you so desire, or at least know how it's supposed to impact you and others. And what are you allowed to do in your country? In our country, we have far more freedoms than most any other nation in the world.
And we have to protect those.
We absolutely have to protect those, and that's why knowing how your government functions and how you can help it function is really an important part of being an American citizen. We are not subjects of a king. We are citizens of a country. And as that way, we have certain rights, but we also have responsibilities.
Which is another key word of going with a democracy, with a republic. You have to participate, you have to be engaged, but you have responsibilities as well, right?
Right, and you can do this on so many levels. I mean, we all tend to focus on Washington, D.C., but that's only 435 of our representatives. Your state governments, your local governments are so very important, and everybody can have a voice in their local government. Talk to their mayor, to their state government, talk to your state legislators or your representatives in Congress. We have a society which encourages that communication and support. And if you let people know what it is you want, then they can go to work to try and get it achieved.
An important message.
Absolutely.
You know, our conversation could continue for quite some time, but we have a minute left on the program today. Any final words, Matt, from you, and then Frank, in 1 minute?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, there's a lot of opportunities out there, whether it's with the Dakota County Historical Society or other organizations, to get involved with history, and especially as we come up to the America 250 celebration.
Frank?
History matters. And if you don't know your history, you don't know really who you are or what you're participating in. So learn it.
History
and I'll
matters.
be happy to teach you.
History matters.
History matters.
Thank you so much, Matt and Frank, for being our guests today on Access to Democracy and sharing with our viewers what's going on with the Dakota County Historical Society. We really appreciate the information that you've shared with us today. Hopefully our viewers will be excited and want to participate in some way in some of the things that are going on to celebrate the 250th birthday of the United States of America. And thank you, our viewers, for joining us today. And remember, there's more Access to Democracy at accesstodemocracy.com and on YouTube. Thank you.